The Hawks beat the Vegas Golden Knights 5-3, just like we all predicted. Seth Jones with 3 points. The Hawks with 2 power play goals. Join us in the Victory Lounge next on the CHGO Blackhawks Postgame Show. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks postgame show. I'm Jay Zawaski with Mario Tirabassi, and Sarah's here running the board in her Winter Classic Blackhawks hat. You can't see her, but it looks cool. I like that one.
It's freezing in the studio today.
It's going to get worse.
Maybe it's just me.
Till Monday.
Yes, just wait. Just you wait for cold. But hey, that was fun, man. That was needed game, and we're going to get to all of it. Again, Hawks win 5-3 over Vegas. Just a really, really fun game, start to finish. Hawks got goals from Reichel, Bertuzzi, Hall, Jones, and Bertuzzi. 3-point night for Seth Jones. So much good to talk about. Before we get into all of it, do us a favor, hit that like button for us. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. If you're listening on your favorite podcast app, thank you. We love you too. Make sure you are following or subscribed there as well. And this has kind of been the story, and we talked about it last post-game show after the Nashville game. You know, they lose in a shootout. They give up a late goal against Nashville, but you feel kind of good about the overall effort. And the first question we say is, and Anders Sorensen was asked about it before the game today, can you start stacking these good performances? And they did it again tonight, and they beat the Golden Knights on the second end of a back-to-back. Sure, make all the excuses you want. All valid, but the Hawks played well tonight. The second period was tough, but they held in and hung on, and I really like the way they put together 60 minutes today.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's not really excuses. You know, it's Vegas coming into town, night 2 of back-to-backs, both games on the road. This is a team that's in a scenario that you should be able to take advantage of them, and it didn't look good early on. First half of that first period was all Vegas, and it was just like, oh, geez, here we go. Like, you know, the script that we've been getting used to with this team was starting to play out, and Vegas gets the first goal of the game. But credit to the team, the Hawks. They pushed back. They didn't just kind of fall back into those usual habits that we've seen from them, where they let a bad start roll into some really bad momentum. They fought back. They got 3 goals very quickly to end that first period right off of each other, and it was just it was a really good snowball the other direction. For once for the Hawks, and it was all started with Reichel's just a really good individual
sick
effort,
goal.
like just a great goal. Like he needed something like that, because I know he's been playing well, better this season. Been up and down a little bit, in and out of the lineup a little bit as well, but when he's been in, I think he's been generally better than what he what he showed last season, and but the production hasn't really come with it. That was a goal he needed.
Oh, 100%. And it was also, sometimes when you say like a goal he needed, you just hope it hits him and the button goes in and you just get a point. That was a sick goal. That was all skill.
Tons of skill.
To even Foligno airmails that puck right where he needs to. Reichel corrals it. It's bouncing. He gets control of it, and it doesn't lose it. Makes a nice move, nice and calm. I think a younger Lucas Reichel maybe kind of panics as he gets closer and closer to the goalie. Nope, just very calmly tucked it. And aside from the goal, Reichel was winning board battles, winning very willingly, going deep into the offensive zone to forecheck and lift sticks and win puck battles. I loved his game tonight. And if Lucas Reichel puts games like this together, it's going to be really good news for him and the Hawks. By the way, he is one of our nominees for the 4-star of the game. First, we're going to tell you about the 3 stars of the game. Number 3 was Teuvo Teravainen. Good old number 86 had 2 assists, 16:54 of ice time, and 3 shots on goal. Tyler Bertuzzi with a pair of goals, his team leading 15th and 16th of the season, 4 shots on goal, a missed shot, and 2 hits. Also credited with 3 block shots. And your number 1 star of the game, Seth Jones, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points, 23-23 of ice time, 3 shots on goal, 5 shot attempts, 3 hits, 2 block shots. That is a $9.5 million performance right there.
Yeah, now just
that's what you're talking about. Yeah, absolutely. And I was listening, as we always do, as we drive from the United Center to here. Troy talking about how I think this was Charlie's point. He had a good point for once. That in the Calgary game, he had no shots on goal. The last 2, he's been very willing to put the puck on net.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that from the Hawks defense over the last 2 games is when they've got a look, they're taking it. Crevier unleashed a bomb today. Lots of the Hawks defensemen were putting pucks on net.
Yeah, that was one of the first noticeable differences between Luke Richardson and Anders Sorensen and their philosophies when Anders took over as interim head coach, is wanting to get the defensemen more active in the offensive game, being able to pinch more, being able to trust their instincts to play aggressively and put the puck on net more. And obviously you have to have control of it to do that more often. But I think there were a lot of times earlier this year where we were getting frustrated with how many opportunities were not taken to put a shot on net. And it's been pretty much the opposite since Anders Sorensen has taken over. It's good to see the defensemen get active that way. And I think it's the getting the puck towards the net is never a bad thing. Sometimes it'll take a fortunate bounce and you get a goal. Other times, you might get a rebound opportunity. And if a goalie makes a save, then at least you have an offensive zone faceoff, which in recent games the Blackhawks have been winning the faceoff battle. So that's been a good thing to see. And Jones specifically, since the last stretch of games culminating with the performance against Calgary, he's been more aggressive, and I think it's a way to get yourself out of it is to just any chance you get to try and make something happen with a shot attempt, to sometimes get yourself out of a funk. Like that's where you got to go.
All right, so those are the 3 stars of the game. So here are your 4-star nominees. Reichel, we already mentioned, a goal in 11:36, 2 shots on goal, 1-5 and lost 4 faceoffs. Connor Bedard with an assist, 2016 of ice time, 3 shots on goal, 7 shot attempts, 3 block shots.
How about that?
Yep, good for him. And the other nominee, Frank Nazar, and this is what I want to talk about next. 1 assist, 15-23, a shot, another shot attempt. Only took 1 faceoff, 0-for-1 from the faceoff dot. Did you see him killing penalties today?
Yeah.
Nazar looked awesome on the PK, man.
Yeah.
And we'll get to the not scoring on that 2-on-1 in a minute here, but to have that kind of trust from Sorensen this early in his NHL career, especially for a guy who was very much projected as, I don't want to say offense only, but primarily offense.
It's probably why he's the 14th ranked Hawk in the system.
Yeah, and not one of the top 140 players under 23. Corey Pronman. Anyway, yeah, I mean, to see him that confident and that good on the penalty kill is super encouraging. And, I think when people get frustrated with the way this season is going, and we hear from people on Twitter or in the chat or wherever saying this team is lost, the GM is terrible, everything's going to hell, they're never going to be good again. It's like, look at these guys that are going to be part of this thing in 3-4 years. Even if you want to include Bertuzzi and Teuvo, they're playing better lately too.
Contractually, they'll be here.
Yeah. So, like, the guys that matter are performing. And another game, Nolan Allen sits, Wyatt Kaiser's back in, and TJ Brody plays fine. Have you noticed that Louis Crevier was not the young defenseman taken out?
No, he
is like skyrocketing up Anders Sorensen's trust board that I'm sure he has in his office. Just little faces and how much he trusts them.
He's got his top 12 friends on MySpace.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. There's just kind of a lot of there's a lot of positives when you zoom out and look at what the young guys on this team are accomplishing. And then if you read the rebuild reporters, follow with Hawks prospects in general, every night there's some Hawks prospect having an amazing performance.
Yeah, tonight was no different. You had an OT winner from Ryan Green. You had a multi-point game from Nick Lardis. Merrick Vanacker got a goal. Like, you know, the prospects. If you're looking at the Blackhawks as a here and now product, yes, there's plenty to
of course
get yourself in a tizzy over. But if you look at down the road and what the path forward is supposed to be, and the players that are supposed to be a part of it, there's lots of positives there. And Nazar had a really good game tonight. Reichel, you know, depending on who you ask, I think is still part of the rebuild plans. I think he's playing himself into an opportunity to continue to, you know, get more opportunities up in the lineup, more ice time, more responsibilities. That's a really good positive step forward. Like you mentioned, Crevier has kind of come out of nowhere to be like, oh, now he's just like a regular NHL defensemble now. Yeah. Like, and he's played fine in that opportunity.
Made Colton a great play, Crevier on Eichel in the third period.
Yeah,
it looked like a dangerous Jack Eichel play, and Crevier just stuck with him, didn't panic, and just bumped him right off the puck.
Yeah,
and nothing came of it. It's one thing to sit in there and just survive. Crevier is more than surviving right now.
Yeah, he's been having good performances, and for that to be the case for a guy who was a 7th round pick, like, it's rare someone picked in the 7th round ever plays in the NHL.
Yeah,
and you know he's been up and down the last few seasons, but this is probably the longest stretch that I can think of since Crevier's been in the organization that he's been in the NHL, and he's actually, and it's not just like, oh, he's up here because of an injury and he's getting ice time, you know, because 2 or 3 defensemen are hurt. He's actually in the lineup and getting the minutes and the responsibilities because of the way he's playing, and he's earning it, and that's a big thing with Anders Sorensen that he's talked about with, you know, merit-based opportunities.
Yeah,
Crevier is definitely taking advantage of it.
100%. Are we at the break zone here, sir? We got a few more minutes to go. I want to remind people, by the way, we've got over 200 people watching. Only 95 likes. So just as I started saying that, people hit the likes. They figured out what I was going to say. So make sure you do that. We do have some info on Monday's takeover we'll share with you in a moment here too. So stick around for that. Just getting back to Nazar, I know we're kind of like all over the place because we're excited because the Hawks won a game. The fact that Cole Guttman is going to the All-Star game,
that's good.
I think it tells you that Frank is not.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And Frank is a Chicago Blackhawk.
They wouldn't have replaced him if they had said like, hey, Frank will come down and play.
Yes.
No, they replaced him. And from that conversation we had a few weeks ago about Nazar being in the All-Star game and Doc being here and kind of saying like, hey, like maybe they go back down at the end of the month to go, you know, play in that event, go play some Rockford games while the Four Nations face-off pause is happening in the NHL. At least for Nazar, he's playing himself into, you are an NHL player, you are going to get the perks of being an NHL player, and he it's not just being handed to him, like he's earning it.
It's not every day you send down your top line left winger.
No, it's not. No, you usually don't do that,
and that's great. I think too. It also sends a message organizationally that, look, like, yes, we want to be patient and we want to develop guys and we want to not rush anybody to the NHL. However, if you show us you're ready and you come up and you play well, we're not just going to send you down just to send you down because you're young. Right. And because maybe we envisioned a longer rebuild process for you. If you prove us wrong, or develop more quickly than expected, great.
That's the good way to be wrong.
Exactly. And I think the Hawks are happy to be wrong in that way, that, wow, Frank Nazar was better faster than we expected. And I don't know, maybe it's coming where he has a little bit of a rut and has to go back down, but that would shock me at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably going to, I think it's inevitable that a young guy like that is probably going to hit a wall at some point, because eventually this year he will have played the most games in one season that he ever has in his career before. So I wouldn't be shocked if that happens. But so far between his AHL time and NHL time, he's thriving. And you know, tonight there were a few times where both he and Connor Bedard could have had, you know, more points on the score sheet between assists and goals. Like they were both creating a lot of great chances. So it's awesome to see. That top line again had a good night.
All right, we're gonna hit the break zone. Come back with your comments, your super chats if we have any. Sarah, save nice 14's comment right there. I want to get to that too. Back in a moment on the CHGO Blackhawks postgame show. But if you're looking for the perfect way to elevate your day, you can do it at Verilife Dispensary. They've got everything you need from premium cannabis products to expert advice. Whether you're new to cannabis or a connoisseur, everyone at Verilife will get you squared away with exactly what you need. That's why their bud tenders are so dang knowledgeable. Verilife proudly offers a price match guarantee, ensuring you get the best value by matching their local competitors' prices on eligible products. Don't miss out on their latest deals and exclusive offers only at Verilife Cannabis stores and online at verilife.com. And if you mention the code CHGO25 in store, you'll receive 25% off one regular price item. And even if you place that order online at verilife.com, you can walk in, mention the discount, and they'll apply it when you pick it up. So that works for online orders or in person. So take advantage. That code is CHGO25 at Verilife stores or at verilife.com.
And hey, if you missed out on getting tickets to our takeover on Monday, but you still want to go to the game, you can check out our friends at Game Time to help you find tickets to that game or any other event that you want to go to with high quality tickets available with a great value. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks, which makes getting tickets to any event even easier because Game Time Picks filters out the fluff and shows you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. And Game Time has tickets to, again, sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, theater shows, anything that you want to put your butt in a seat for, Game Time can help get you there. They also have the all-in pricing feature, which allows you to see the total upfront so that when you get to checkout, there's no surprise fees or anything like that. The price you see is what you're going to pay when you find your tickets through Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use the code CHGO. You're going to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
All right, 2-year super chats. Got one here from Corey, $5.
We'd like to remind you folks,
yes, thank you.
Keep your questions within the boundaries of good taste.
Corey says, I'm just really proud of the team tonight. The boys played their asses off versus one of the elite teams in the NHL. Reichel is going to be a stud.
I hope so.
And Scott with a similar thought, but kind of in a different way. Been a diehard Hawks fan for 56 years. Never seen a team that can beat the best of the league and then dog out on the chumps of the league. That is the frustration. Mm-hmm. That is definitely frustrating. And I have my little document going of Hawks wins to recap their 15 wins. Edmonton, San Jose, Colorado, LA, Anaheim, Minnesota, Florida, Dallas, the Rangers, the Islanders, the Caps, the Kraken, the Avs again, the Canadians, and the Golden Knights now. 15 wins. And what is that, 10 against high-quality teams?
I count 10 against teams that I would say are playoff dangerous teams.
Yes. Nice 14 says, I love how Bedard is looking better every game. He's going to be insane when he gets the confidence he had at the World Junior Championships. We were talking about this, too, before the show, and just the thought of Connor Bedard with a legitimate, bona fide superstar player on his line, be it Elias Pettersson, be it Mikko Rantanen, be it whoever it may be. Mm-hmm. If he looks this good with Bertuzzi and Nazar, not to take anything away from those two, but they're not superstars.
Yeah, right.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I mean, you think about the 2 seasons, 1 and 1.5 seasons that Connor Bedard has played in the NHL. And all these benchmarks that he's hitting for points as a teenager in Blackhawks history or points as a teenager in NHL history, all this stuff. And he's doing it with almost zero help.
Right.
And yeah, I think whether it's a big star that the Blackhawks go out and get either in a trade or free agency, or if it's having some of these other guys that are part of the rebuild process, like a Frank Nazar, step up and start to, elevate their play and elevate the play of the guys around them, including Connor Bedard. Like that's a big piece of what's gonna, be part of this new era moving forward, is all of these guys coming up and all these guys kind of like finding their places within the rebuild and finding their games. And I think, it's kind of funny, like when we talked to Nazar last week when it was, you asked him like, playing with Connor, like how is it, how do you have to feel to play with Connor? And in my head, when he was answering that question, because I wasn't listening to him, I was just waiting for my next turn to talk, because that's how interviewers go. But
it's so true. Oh my God! So he said it out loud. Well, we all do it.
But in my head, I was thinking like Frank probably thinks that like in his mind, well, I'm Frank Nazar, like I can keep up with Connor Bedard, no problem.
Yeah.
Like some of these other guys probably have to worry about keeping up with me and what I can do. And I think like players like that have that mentality and have been in those positions on other teams before, coming up into this organization is going to be very important, because you add those guys to Connor Bedard, who already has proven and knows he can do that at this level. Like that's a scary thought moving forward as everybody progresses.
And Toyin, kind of on the topic, says who in the pipeline is expected to be playing with Bedard. I don't know if they necessarily have that guy yet. You've got your Oliver Moore, you've got your Frank Nazar, who probably, when you're ready to win, are second line guys, maybe third line guys. Roman Kanserov is a wild card if he chooses to come to the States, which everyone seems to believe he will after next season.
He looks really good.
He looks great and could be a top line option. And chances are very high, very, very, very high, that whoever they pick in this year's draft is going to be a forward. And probably that guy, if they're picking 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Schaefer is appealing, and I would not necessarily hate it to get your Cale Makar or Quinn Hughes. But there's going to be, I mean, that's the sort of thing. If you do get number 1 and someone really wants Schaefer, great, give us your 3 and give us your second round pick too.
Yeah, more than that.
Like you can, yeah, exactly. Just to get the conversation going.
I mean, if the Blackhawks win the lottery, the first, I mean, I can't even think of the last time the first overall pick in the NHL draft was traded away. Like I rarely think that ever really happens. So if you're in a position like that, I think if you get you'd have to do something like that, you'd have to have a massive offer given to you. Because if you hold all the cards and a team really wants to go in and get Schaefer, if the Hawks are like, we want to pick a forward, then you really, the team has to make it worth your while, because you hold all the cards with the first pick.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, we'll get to that, but
yeah, and I liked go back and listen to our interview with Stephen Ellis a few weeks ago. I liked how he broke down the top few guys in the draft. There's at least 4 that I would look at and say each of those guys probably plays in the NHL next season, or you have a serious conversation about it. And the guy that he pointed out that could really mesh well and complement Connor Bedard on his wing is Porter Martone, and he's a big body scoring threat. Like, put him with Connor Bedard. I think that's a very intriguing option that could be on the table for the Hawks. So to your point, like that could be the guy that next year comes in and is like, all right, here's our 1-2. Here's our early version of Kane and Taves when they played on the same line early in their careers before enough of the talent was on the roster where you could split those guys up and go on from there.
Yeah,
but
I think
that could be intriguing.
I think sometimes people forget there's going to be a draft. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's like, well, I'm looking here and I don't see anybody. Like, well, they're going to pick in the top 3 again. Like that's happening. And we saw a willingness from Kyle Davidson to try and be aggressive and try to get Demidov in the draft.
He tried.
But Pat Verbeek had to go weird like he always does. So, the aggressiveness is there. The desire to do it is there. I think that player is yet to be determined, and it could be a draft pick and a free agent or a trade.
Yeah.
We don't have that answer yet. But for now, Nazar and Bertuzzi are doing pretty well as his line mates.
That group is coming together nicely. And especially Bertuzzi, man. Like, I know Tracy Myers put up the stat on social media. First 32 games of the year, he had 13 points, and he's got, I think now 15 in his last 14 games because he scored the other goal after she tweeted that out. So like, he is, as much as we've like heard about him when he got here, it was like, oh yeah, he's kind of a late starter. This version of Tyler Bertuzzi is the guy that I think turns a lot of people's opinions about him from the beginning of the year around real fast.
Look, it made all the sense in the world when they did it. I know there was some hesitation because of I'm not getting into it, but the off-ice controversy from a couple years ago. Some people kind of questioned him as a teammate after that, but who never questions him as a teammate? His teammates. Like, it's a guy who is giving what he's got all the time, and what he lacks in speed and finesse and beauty, he makes up for in a willingness to go.
He is a beauty.
And he is the very definition of a beauty.
He lacks beauty.
When hockey players talk about a beauty, the picture in the dictionary is Tyler Bertuzzi, 100%. I mean, he's got that play where he parks himself in front of the goal, puts a skate right behind a stick blade, so there's no give.
Like,
how many? Has he scored 4 or 5 that way this year?
He's probably scored like 12 like that.
It's crazy.
It's nuts.
Like that is like his patented move is to plant that foot behind the blade to kind of just boop, give it that little extra
like
support,
a little extra backboard. Yeah.
And someone in the chat said that Bertuzzi just disappears, and the next thing you know, he's celebrating a goal. Like he just finds his way right in front, and that is a willingness. And someone ran the numbers a little bit ago, but his recent hot streak and Bedard's recent hot streak, I think they've connected on like almost all of them. Has been Bertuzzi to Bedard or Bedard to Bertuzzi. It's going to be hard to dig out totally, but I mean, he's been exactly what they wanted when they signed him. That was exactly what they were going for.
As much as we harp on the veterans and the guys that Kyle Davidson brought in this offseason, there's nothing to harp on with Bertuzzi. He has been a A+ signing.
I agree. Lord Hosta says, is it possible for Bertuzzi to stay on his feet while shooting? Apparently not. However, it's working. That 2-on-1, man, at the end with Bedard and Bertuzzi, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that he passed because he kind of always, that Bedard passed. But Bertuzzi, I think, was a little bit caught off guard by it, too. I think he was thinking go for the rebound, but then I heard Troy say that he slowed down a little bit to give Connor the passing option.
Yeah.
Got one-timed it, probably 5 feet over the net and fell down doing it. But, yeah, I don't know, man. Like,
he got an opportunity.
Going back to the point you made a little bit earlier, where earlier in the season, like 3 games ago, you would have seen them kind of like fade and collapse and bend and break as this game went on. I like the way they played the third, and when you look at those numbers, they're still not great. First period, they outshoot Vegas 13-5. Second period, they're outshot 17-3. So it's basically flipped on its head. Third period, shots were 13-7. So closer still. You're way behind in shots, but you're up. Vegas is trying to catch up. They're throwing everything they can at you. So I like the fact that they did not just sit back and wait to lose. And I want to say one thing about Pat Maroon before he hit the break zone. The way the third period started, I noticed right away that fight came like it was 2:59 into the second period. Yeah. And the way that first 2:59 went, after the Hawks were up 3-1 after 1, had all the momentum, had the late goal from Taylor Hall with 18 seconds to go in the period. The Hawks come out a little bit flat, a little bit slow, a little bit hesitant. And I wonder if Pat Maroon felt that and thought immediately, I got to do something about this. Now, it didn't really work because Vegas scored the next 2 goals, but I think that may have been his mindset was, whoa.
Yeah.
This is another slow second period start. I need to do something about this.
Yeah, it was behind the play. I didn't see how the fight started. It may have been Maroon instigating it. It might have been Haig saying like, hey, do me a solid and let's drop the gloves here.
Yeah.
Because that's how often that happens. For teams that are down, could have been something like that. But either way, like the fight itself was darn impressive between 2 really big guys, and I think Maroon too might have been like close to the end of a shift. So to go out there and then put that fight out, that was pretty impressive. But yeah, the momentum swing and everything, like it's something that a guy like Pat Maroon is there for, to do things like that. And for the amount of games he's played and times he's been around the NHL, like he can feel those times when it's necessary. And you'd like for him to not have to do that. You'd like the team to just be self-starting, ready to go.
Yeah.
Hey, we're up 3-1. Like, we got some good vibes here. Let's keep it going. And then, you come out flat in that second period. You give up 2 goals to tie the game. Thankfully, Seth Jones gave them the lead going back into the second intermission there. But it's Maroon's that guy that to play that role. And again, talking about the offseason acquisitions, he's been one that you're not upset with.
No. All right, got to hit the break zone one more time. Make sure you hit that like button for us. We'll come back with any more super chats or good comments. And then we should spend a little bit of time on Seth Jones because we have been for a while, and I think he deserves some positive attention after this one. But if you were driving today and you still have retinas, congratulations. I still have retinas because I have Shady Rays. Get ready for that bright, snowy season ahead with quality shades built to last from our friends at Shady Rays. They've got you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 302,000 people. I'm adding 2,000 since the last time the script was written.
Nice.
Is that fair?
Yeah,
I think at least, right? I think it's a fair guess.
By the pace that number has increased since we've been with Shady Rays.
I feel safe.
Yeah,
I feel safe.
That's pretty good.
Well, Shady Rays has hundreds of options to choose from, including snow goggles, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com. Use the code CHGO for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourselves. The shades rated 5 stars by over 302,000 people. 300,002. Sheesh.
Oh, 300,002?
302,000.
302,000.
302,000
okay.
is what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Also, I think the Commanders just won.
Did they?
Yes. Ben Johnson, come on down.
Good for them.
Yep, 45-31. God dang.
Wow.
Okay, sorry. Back to the reads.
It's a high-scoring playoff game. Hey, if Ben Johnson needs a ride on down to Chicago, he can do it in a brand new Chevy with our friends at Ray Chevrolet. Save on the new car for you and stick to your New Year's goals by shopping Ray's Resolution, going on all month long at Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake. Head in today to shop their huge selection of new Chevy models with special New Year's prices. Right now, take 10 to 20% off of MSRP on select new Chevy models, or shop over 125 of their vehicles priced under $20,000. As one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be shopping one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. Visit our partner this month, January, at their location on Route 12 in Fox Lake, or go to raychevrolet.com. If you've heard of Ray Chevrolet, you've heard of Ray's Price Promise. They're guaranteed to make your next vehicle more affordable than ever, with no price changing, no add-ons, and no hidden fees. That means the incredible prices that we are talking about right now, you can expect to see the very same when you shop Ray Chevy in-store or online. Shop great prices on new Chevys with Ray's Resolution going on all month, January. Visit Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive.
Remember January?
The month?
No, the person.
Yes.
Long-time CHGO listeners will remember that.
Yes.
Ooh, what a crazy time for
do
all
we
of
have any
us.
super chats? Super chats?
Any new super chats?
New?
Come on,
Nope.
you bums.
We do have. I want to get to the.
Oh, yeah, Thomas has a question. We got to
go
get to
ahead.
that one.
Thomas.
He says, where, actually in reverse order,
Where,
is
when?
the meetup for the box takeover on Monday? Looking forward to meeting you guys
Well, the meetup is in the suite.
in the suites.
But yeah, we'll do that at the end of the show. We'll lay out some plans for those heading to the suite or just in general heading to the game.
Yeah, just meet us in the suite
on
man.
Monday.
Get those tendies.
Bertuzzi Bedard connections. They didn't connect on either of Bertuzzi's goals tonight, but 20. Let's see. So this is what 20. Bertuzzi had 2 points tonight, 2 goals.
Yeah.
He's got 26 points on the season. Let's see. Bedard from Bertuzzi. Bedard from Bertuzzi. Tuzzi from Bedard. Tuzzi from Tavo and Bedard. Bertuzzi from Jones and Bedard. Bertuzzi from Hall and Bedard. Bertuzzi from Bedard. Bertuzzi from Bedard. Bedard from Hall and Bertuzzi.
Wow.
Bertuzzi from Vlasic and Bedard. Bedard from Bertuzzi. Bertuzzi from Bedard. And Bertuzzi's first goal of the year from Tavo and Bedard. So it's like almost 20 of his 26 points this year between Bertuzzi and Bedard. They've connected on the same play.
That's crazy.
That's impressive.
That's crazy. Also, some people asked about this Eddie Belfour bust we have on set.
Yes.
We talked about this last show. My buddy,
what was it called?
I don't remember that word they
the
used.
big word that they used
Yeah.
last time. I forget.
It was a new word, and I already forgot it.
Sculptorino.
But I'm going to call it a bust.
Yeah,
This is made by my buddy Pete Farrell, who owns a woodworking, sculpting, and prototyping shop. PCC Workshop on Instagram is the place to go. And on his page, it says, "We can make anything. Yes, anything." So if you've got anything like this you have in mind, get in touch with Pete, and he can make it. Pete, for a long time, worked in Hollywood as a makeup artist. He
has made anything.
He has made anything, including The Thing from the Fantastic Four and The Thing in Mark Wahlberg's pants in Boogie Nights. He is the artist that made both of those. He also toured with Rob Zombie and did all the makeup for that tour.
That's awesome.
So among many, many other things, but Pete is now retired from Hollywood and is doing his own thing. He's a paramedic and does this stuff on the side. So check out PCC Workshop on Instagram for anything you have in mind that you want custom made. Simulacrum is the word from Lebowski. I still don't know how to say it, and I won't say it, and I won't
That's
remember
a word I learned the last time we did a show. Never
It's a
heard of that
basic
before.
word, fellas. Lebowski 5 says condescendingly.
Sure.
Usually to be that condescending, you have to send a super chat. Just saying. Simulacrum. I have never heard that. Am I saying it right? Simulacrum?
I just heard it the
Anyone?
other day. I have no idea. I don't
know.
It's a sculpture. It's a sculpture.
Yeah.
It's a sculpture.
All right. Fair enough.
That's what I'm going with. Sculpture. That's a basic word. Speaking of basic words, we got quotes coming in from the locker room. Let's see. Mark Lazarus sends us one from Nick Foligno on Seth Jones. He played awesome. He's a proud guy. He's a pro, and he wants to be a part of this, and it's nice to see him leading the way. When he does, look how much better we are. It's just the reality of the position he holds. It's a privilege, and he understands that.
More on Seth Jones here from Andrew Sorensen via Ben Pope. Quote, his gaps were much better. He was invested a lot of the game emotionally, seemed to be really into it. He had some offensive output, but the defensive part of his game was really good.
Said it was Jones's best game since he became coach. I think that's a fair assessment.
Yes.
Yeah. And to Foligno's point, like you look at the games that Jones gets involved in. He's filling the stat line in a positive way. A lot of the time, again, I don't have the stats to back it up, but it feels like a lot of the time when he's putting up points, when he's being aggressive, putting shots on net, when he's being aggressive physically, blocking shots, laying hits, like those are games where the Hawks are either, in it, really competitive, or they come out with wins. Like this team is a lot better when Seth Jones is is playing at the top of his game because he's a guy that plays 25 minutes a night.
I think that he is the main difference maker for this team. When he plays well, they're significantly better.
Mm-hmm.
And you could say, Connor Bedard is the catalyst for a lot of the offense, which is true, and all those things. But when Seth Jones has a good game, more often than not, the Blackhawks have a good game.
Yeah.
And I do think that the engagement factor is part of it. And that is a compliment from Foligno, but it's also kind of a little shot across the bow, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, to say
when he leads the way, look how much better we are.
Yeah.
He's flat out saying, when you're good, we're good. We go as you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's to me, it's like a compliment sandwich. It's like a compliment, criticism, and a compliment. He's
the slap and tickle.
He's awesome. He's a proud guy. He's a pro. Wants to be a part of this. And when he does want to be a part of this, we're better. And it's
there's no denying it.
Yeah, there's no and he's faced clearly he's faced criticism from the fan base, from people like us, and it's more than just the last 2 weeks of games. It's fair or not, been basically since he got here. He's been facing it, and when he's played well, it's a lot quieter. And when he doesn't play up to the standards that his resume and his contract say he should be, people let him hear it. The last time Seth Jones was on the ice at the United Center, he was getting booed every time he touched the puck.
Yes, he was.
Tonight, he was getting a standing ovation as the first star.
And the little kid after the first intermission.
Yes.
If you've been to a game, you see the little tykes playing the game between the first and second period, the little skating game.
The obstacle course.
They always interview a kid, and they're always asked who my favorite player is, and they go, Connor Bedard, every time.
Yeah.
Tonight, the kid said Seth Jones. And I think it catapulted the Hawks to victory, quite frankly. I think I saw there was an audible gasp. a single tear down Seth's face.
There was an audible gasp in the press box. We all just stood up.
Oh,
wait.
Wait.
Say that?
Hold on, stop. Jem says Jones doesn't want to be here. Trade him. Jem had a conversation with Seth Jones after the game, so we could just scrap all this conversation. Nick Foligno, full of crap, when saying he said Seth Jones wants to be here. He doesn't know Seth at all. Jem has set the record straight that Seth doesn't want to be here. Okay. Should we end the show now, or?
That's fine. Yeah, I'd like to get home.
That's the stuff that drives me crazy. These grand declarations of this guy doesn't want to be here.
Yeah, all the stuff of depressed Connor Bedard wanting out.
Connor Bedard can't wait to go to Vancouver.
Yeah, that's such a rosy situation.
Patrick Kane can't wait to go to Buffalo.
Well, he's got to hit all the first. He's got to hit all the.
Got to hit the original six first.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's whatever.
I think Seth Jones proved tonight that he wants to be here.
I think Seth Jones knows that he wants to be in a competitive situation, and I would like to think he knows
everybody does.
Right, of course.
So do we.
I think he knows that to be in that competitive situation on a team that is competitive, he has to be one to drive it. And when he's not, it's tough to get that kind of production across the board when Seth's not one of the guys leading the way. And hopefully, and I think the expectation was with the guys that they were bringing in this offseason, there might be a little bit less necessary from Seth Jones to shoulder the weight, but it hasn't been the case. And he's been a guy that, again, has to be tasked with, leading the defensive group, and the emergence of Alex Vlasic has been great. I'd say he's on that level of Seth Jones defenseman right now, and as much as is on Seth's plate, I think you can put on Alex Vlasic's plate as well, which helps Jones because he doesn't have to be 28 minutes a night. Now it's 25, and you don't have to give him as many responsibilities because more of those guys can start taking up some of that slack.
And Goo says it's one game with Jones. Chill. It's actually two in a row. Really, really solid games. And he's been better than bad most nights. He had a really bad stretch after coming back from a broken foot. Yep. Really bad, undeniably bad stretch. But we heard Troy Murray talking about it again in the intermission and giving him props for saying, hey, Seth Jones had every opportunity the day after that Calgary loss to not come out and talk to anyone in practice. They had a quick, weren't they leaving like right after practice that day? That was like the quick turnaround.
It was
in
a
Nashville.
short turnaround, yeah.
Yeah, because that was the day we talked to Anders like right outside the rink.
Mm-hmm.
So the team was leaving. He had every excuse to not talk. He was the first guy there, stood at his locker, knew what was coming, faced it, owned it, said, I played like crap. I made a boneheaded play. I make a lot of money. There's high expectations on me. It comes with the territory. I get it. And that's what more can he do? And I think part of the reason too that that Seth, obviously the contract is a huge part of it. It's a huge part of it. And obviously
It's probably the biggest part.
Yes, honestly. Of course. And it comes with high expectations. But he's also on the ice almost half the game, every game. So every mistake he makes is under a microscope. Every fumble, every mishandle, every minus.
Yeah.
It's amplified by 10 compared to other players. Like, hey, you know what the lowest rated Blackhawk was in this game today? You want to guess?
Yeah. Was it Maroon?
It was Alex Vlasic. Alex Vlasic had a tough game today. But that doesn't fit the narrative, right? People love Alex Vlasic. He's got a good contract. He's a draft pick. They didn't give up a bunch to get him. He's overachieved. All these sort of things. So it's different expectations for different people. And when Alex Vlasic has a bad game, it's hardly mentioned, right? And I'm not saying that people should dog on Alex Vlasic either, or two rather, but it is a different level of expectation, and it is a bit unfair to Seth Jones. I think that's kind of been our point all along, is that, boy, the level of vitriol does not match the level of play. It's not like he's out there costing them games night after night after night. Was he over the last 2 weeks? Sure. But over the vast majority of his time here, he's been a plus player. Not plus minus because he's on a bad team, but plus in terms of impact.
Yeah, he's been serviceable in his role most nights.
Yes.
And I think, is that underachieving for a $9.5 million defenseman? Yes, but not by the amount that I think people make it seem.
All right, couple more super chats to get to. Andy Alum says, Newcastle United lost. The Hawks saved my birthday. Thank you. Happy birthday, Andy. Sorry to hear about Newcastle United. That sucks for you. Young Dangle God mentioned Patrick Kane earlier, so he paid us $1. We appreciate it as always. Steve from Chicago, $10, says, boys are playing great off the puck. Effort is creeping back in.
Big part of it.
Yep. And Jason T, who's here every damn show, for $5, says, hearing a lot about how much hot garbage this team is, but it feels like the pieces are finally figuring out how they fit together with a good play style. That's an interesting thought. Because we were talking about this the other day, and I know I'm talking a lot. I'm sorry. There's only two of us. As you go through the guys brought in this offseason, like guy by guy, Bertuzzi, Tavo, Maroon, Anderson, or Martinez, and Brody.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from Brody, Craig Smith too.
Yeah.
All those guys have done pretty much what you've expected, aside from Bertuzzi's slow start and Tavo's slump there in the middle of the first half. Everyone's kind of done what you've expected them to do. It just hasn't worked as a team.
Right.
It's hard to say like this individual sucks and this was a bad signing, but the group hasn't been working. Could it take 50 games for this group to come together? Maybe, but now you've got the Four Nations around the corner.
Right.
The trade deadline's right after that. So at least 2 of those 5 will probably be gone, and probably Taylor Hall.
Right, yeah.
So it's, I don't know. It doesn't matter at this point because they're not going to suddenly rally.
They're not going on a 2019 Blues run here from last place to Stanley Cup champions or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, I think there is something to be said that some of this takes time. And when you have those many new faces coming in and playing in the roles that they were asked to do, in a system that at the beginning of the year under Luke Richardson was kind of stifling some of the more offensive players, most notably Connor Bedard. It just wasn't the right recipe for this team. And I'm not saying Andrew Sorensen has completely unlocked everything that's going to make this team, run to the playoffs or anything, but he's definitely given them an ability to play more up tempo, which benefits some of these younger guys. And just being able to have that energy in the game. And that makes a big difference. And as Sorensen has said numerous times, the first message of the first practice when he was named coach was effort is going to fix a lot of things. And if, look at Lucas Reichel's game tonight, like he was very effective just playing with speed, getting onto pucks, getting into the offensive zone, getting on the forecheck, everything with speed and effort. It was noticeable for him tonight, and that can rub off on the team when guys like Reichel and Donato are having those kinds of games. It'll trickle up and down across the lineup, and it can be infectious. And when this team is playing with some confidence, with some energy, with some speed in their game, they can have these nights. They can have nights against Vegas and Colorado where they control play. They look like the better team for stretches of time.
Which is what makes Calgary so freaking frustrating.
Yeah, it makes the Calgary loss frustrating and the San Jose loss frustrating. Like the Rangers loss, where the Rangers were coming in here on day two, not night two, day two of back-to-backs in a game where they also traveled for the first game of back-to-backs. And you come out and you lay a stinker in that one, and those are the situations that you should be able to, even as a last place team, take advantage of a team and get a better result.
A couple other comments I want to get to. Bijan says, I think the type of deal you're going to get for Jones is going to be another unwanted contract with the Hawks remaining money on Jones. No, I don't think that's true. If they're trading Seth Jones, which I do still think is a long shot, possible, but a long shot. Mm-hmm. If you're retaining money, you're getting a decent asset back. You're getting a high draft pick because you're giving someone Seth Jones for $4.5 million for the next 5 years. That is a bargain.
Right.
Every team in the NHL would take Seth Jones for $4.5 million.
Yeah, and there's also chatter of get creative with the third team.
Right.
So you take another half of that 4.75 off of it.
Yes. So if you're eating salary, you're getting something back. Now, a lot of people said, what about Darnell Nurse for Seth Jones? That accomplishes nothing. No. Someone said, would you take Nikita Zadorov from Boston
take him back
for half of Jones? No, because then you're paying Nikita Zadorov Seth Jones money for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, no.
So I'm not doing that. The other comment I want to get to is Dead Hawk. And I have a couple stories for him. He says, at some point, we'll have a Stanley Cup Championship post-game show, and some of y'all will still find things to be upset about. I don't know how anyone has the capacity for so much negativity. So I was working at the Score when the White Sox won the World Series and the Cubs won the World Series. I don't know if it was exactly the first, but within the first segment of the Sox winning the World Series, a caller said, it is a travesty that Paul Konerko didn't win the MVP and that Jermaine Dye did. So somebody was mad that Jermaine Dye was World Series MVP 10 minutes after his team just won the World Series. And after the Cubs won the World Series, I would say 30% of the calls were how Joe Madden should be fired.
Oh my god!
It just people. Chicago fans don't know how to cope with success.
You will never have 100% satisfaction in any sporting situation.
They just don't it is so ingrained in us as Chicago sports fans to be miserable and unhappy and negative that you have to find something all the time. What do we get any? What was the chatter around Bedard? Was there any when the Hawks drafted Bedard? Was there any? I'm trying to remember
about what that they shouldn't have taken him.
No, but just negativity about it somehow. He's not a center. He's too small, or some crazy.
Yeah,
there had to be some stuff like that.
There were people who were like, he's too small, and yeah, okay, he's bigger than Patrick Kane was when he was drafted, and Patrick Kane had a fine career.
He was all right.
Yeah, I don't. The only hate I remember on Bedard when he was drafted was from the other 31 fan bases that didn't get to draft him. But that's, too bad. So sad. I just on the negativity thing, I think it's easy to fall into the pit of despair when things are going really bad. And again, I go back to like the here and now mentality of fans. And look, there's a lot of people who just turn on their TV and want to watch the game if they can. And that's all they care about is the game in front of them. When they come home from work, they have dinner, they sit down on the couch, they turn on their TV. I want to watch the Hawks game. This team sucks. They're losing again.
They're ruining my night. Yeah.
It's different than some of the people who, like us, are just like so ingrained in everything. And it's multifaceted how you view the team. So I get people and a large chunk of the fan base being upset with where they're at. Rebuilds are very difficult. They take time and patience, and some people just don't have that. And that's fine. It's not an indictment on them. It's just that's just where they're at in their fandom. So I get why people would be down on the team and be in a position to be like, there's nothing good about this team. Like, they're last place. There's nothing good about this team. Yeah, I mean, now there's not a lot of good, but down the road, especially with Connor Bedard leading the way, there should be way more good.
Yes, there's gonna be way more nights like this in the near future.
I hope so.
Sometimes when I'm feeling frustrated about sports, I just take the sport and I break it down to its lowest form, and I go, I'm upset because men couldn't put a rubber disc in a net. Like, and when you think about, or men could not move a brown ball better than another group of men, and it's ruined my day. And sometimes when I when I strip it down to the core of what it is, I'm like, okay, this is not something I should be upset about. I'm passionate about it. Right. Monday, you will not be able to console me if the men in green and blue and gold don't move the ball as much as the guy is in red and silver. I'll be inconsolable. But at the end of the day, children did not move the ball well enough against other children, and I am upset my night is ruined. I'm going to ruin everybody's night right now, though. Maybe you've seen this. Maybe you've not. Let's play along at home. Jay Glazer. A little scoopage. The Bears are scheduled to interview blank for their head coaching job tomorrow morning. Don't check.
Wait, he tweeted blank, or you're leaving it?
I'm leaving it blank. I want you to guess who it is. I give you 10,000 guesses and you won't get it.
Oh God, is it a person who was coaching this season?
Not in the NFL.
God, on Monday they're doing it.
It says interview tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Okay. God.
I can give you 5 hours. You won't get it. It is Tennessee State head football coach Eddie George.
The running back?
The running back, yes.
Okay. Why not?
Sure.
Why not?
Why the hell not? Cloud said Jeremy Cowan. That's a good guess. Mr. Wurr says Tony La Russa. Also, I saw an AI of Tony La Russa as the Bears coach. All right, we got to end the show.
God.
4-star. Sarah, is it a happy night for Holly and Addie? Is Lucas Reichel a 4-star? Yes, he is, and deservingly so. Congrats to Lucas Reichel. Again, recapping his game. He had a goal. He was +1 in 11:36, 2 shots on goal, 1-5, lost 4 faceoffs, and was just very, very solid in all ends of the ice, and really liked his forechecking in this game.
Yes. Bring that into Monday's game, Lucas.
Yes, make it a good night for our takeover.
Yeah. We got to keep up our unblemished record of takeovers.
Well,
don't fact check it.
Semi-blemished by Patrick Kane.
Nah. Unblemished. That game didn't happen. What are you talking about?
I think I stood up and left before
Jay,
that
don't you know we openly hate Patrick Kane?
That's true.
Yeah.
But when he got that breakaway, I think I stood up and left. I never saw it go in.
And I said the UC is going to tell me what happens, even though I already know what's going to happen.
Oh, Lord. Yeah. All right, you said you have some info for entry for the takeover. I know you did some research today. Gate entry. 2.5 is a sweet entry gate, right?
2.5 and 6.5 are the gate entries that we can go into. I believe this is going to be the same suite that we used for the Bulls takeover earlier this month, and our MC for the night, Patrick Norton, told us that 2.5 is probably better for entry for us than 6.5.
P79 is a suite if it matters.
Yeah. And I think we may do a meet us in the atrium kind of thing, and then we'll navigate our way to where we need to go. If we wanted to do like an easy way to say, hey, meet at the Michael Jordan statue. It's an easy thing to say, here's our rallying point for people who are going to be there for the takeover, and people who are just going to be there for the game too. If you want to, hang out, say hi. You can do it that way too. And then, we'll head up to the suite, and it's going to be a good time.
Cannot wait. All the attendees, all the nacho bar, all the glizzies and the Elizabeths that you can eat. We'll be in the suite on Monday. We can't wait to see you there. We got, little surprises coming for you in the goodie bags, and maybe a little surprise guest or two stopping by the suite as well. So you're not going to want to miss it. And if you did miss it, become a diehard and you won't miss the next one. AllCHGO.com is the place to go to become a diehard. You'll get a free shirt or hat upon sign up, including, if you like it, the new Play Like a Champion design, just in time for Monday's game, where I will be a nervous freaking wreck the entire takeover. Don't talk to me or look at me.
You're just going to be in the corner.
I'll be rocking, sucking my thumb, watching Notre Dame and Ohio State. But it's going to be a great night regardless. But become a diehard, allchgo.com for all the amazing perks we offer. All right, we'll talk to everybody Monday after Hawks and Hurricanes. By the way, that will be a delayed post-game because we're staying the whole game. Then we're going to make our way back. So we will have a post-game show, but it won't be, 5 to 10 minutes after the final horn. It'll be, give us 30, 40 minutes or so.
Yeah, we'll be leaving right after a game, so it'll be a little more congested.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for being here. If you've not hit it already, hit that like button on the way out and tell a friend about this great CHGO Blackhawks podcast for us. We'd appreciate that very much. We'll talk to you Monday post-game on a CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.